Welcome, everyone, to another rousing round episode adventure, Fandom Spotlite's panel for the Book of Boba Fett. I'm your host, Joe, and I have a delightful cast of scruffy-looking nerf herders with me.
Who's scruffy looking? Sorry.
Technically, most of us.
I just shaved.
I haven't hit puberty yet, so.
So I'm going to go around and I'm going to introduce the panel, the guests, the friends, the crew with me tonight, and then we're going to get right into it because this has been a pretty big episode. First, to my right on screen, I believe, depending on how you want to look at it, left, right, whatever. We have Michael. Michael is a droid expert. He was trained with Jawas. They know how to really sell the droids. So.
That's true. They also, I know what they look like underneath the hoods. It's not pretty.
Whoa, that's forbidden knowledge.
Hey, keep it clean.
It's probably cursed too. So, to my south is the Mace Windu of our group, Smack Talker Skywalker over here. Matt, how's it going, Matt?
I try to come up with a different name every time we come on here. I'm running low.
I dig it. Like, that's what I do every year for Halloween. I go with like some sort of weird eldritch horror name, but it never works out the way I want it to. And joining us in a not so common occurrence is the smuggleriest captain of our little crew of misfits, Captain Kyle.
Never tell me the odds.
I don't. I'm not a gambling man, so I definitely don't do that. I don't even learn the odds. It's too risky. So let's go ahead and get started. Normally chaos reigns, but there's so much to go over, and I want to try and keep it tight. First off, before we get too deep into it, how did we generally feel about this episode? Michael, we'll start with you.
I give it 2 Bantha Tusks up.
Awesome.
So,
Out of how many?
Really good about the episode.
Out of how many?
Out of 2.
I mean, the ideal number is 2, but there's probably like a 1 or a 3 Tusk Bantha out there. Captain Kyle, how are we feeling?
Well, watching him trying to be a crime lord. Well, I'd say that this episode was one of the better ones, but I can only give it maybe 1.5 Bantha Tusks.
That's fair. And Matt, how are we feeling?
So I heavily enjoyed it solely based off the fact that every time we do these panels, like I feel like they hear it and they tailor that episode to fit exactly what we were talking about the previous weeks.
Yep.
So I liked it a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, episode 4, which I forgot the title of. That's on me. That's terrible. But starts with what we've come accustomed to is a back to dream slow pan to the back to tank. Ideally, we won't get many more of these. Not that I dislike the flashbacks, but like presenting them the same way each time kind of gets a little tired.
We say that every week. That's probably the last one.
I'm hoping.
They get increasingly longer.
We got to see, Boba out in the desert post.
I have the name.
Torch.
I looked it up. It is the Gathering Storm.
So
that fits.
Yeah. But we got Boba being all just chill in the desert by himself now that he's alone again, which probably super depressing for him. And he's got his one Bantha, which he's apparently very sweet with, very friendly with. We see him go out, check out Bib Fortuna's palace, which he probably still think is Jabba's, and some other stuff happened, like, catching up to the Mandalorian timeline, so to speak. What are some of y'all's thoughts on this first introduction? A lot of no words in the beginning. Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so it's funny, like I said, like how these shows kind of line up with what we always say, and it's either like right on the nose or totally against it. Like how we say, oh yeah, we're probably done with the flashback, so yeah, we'll get the Finnick team up flashback, and then like most of this episode is the flashback. But I actually do really like what you just said about the things that he doesn't know and how they kind of let that play out in the show, because I'm gonna jump ahead, but that does happen again.
Yep.
With the thing that he didn't know, but I do like that, and how we kind of got I think that's the back of Jabba's palace, and I don't know if we've ever seen the hangar bay of Jabba's palace before,
or the kitchen.
Yeah, or the kitchen. So I did like that a lot.
That's cool. Kyle, what'd you think?
Before we do have a question in the chat. Do y'all think a My Pillow does a back to tank? I don't think I'd trust a My Pillow back to tank.
No. Now, if we're going with another reference related to this episode, the guy pillow probably does a back to tank. And for those that get that reference, I appreciate you.
I'm feeling unappreciated. So, the whole backstory thing, I kind of like the fact that they didn't switch back and forth this time so much. It just was like... And, yes, him not knowing that Jabba was, Banta Dudu, that's... which is an appropriate thing to call him. That's considering the members and the people in this... creatures in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked his thing and the fact that, he discovered everyone. He probably already figured people thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And, so I did like that. And I did like the meeting Fennec and, that the start of that relationship and his reasons for wanting to become a crime lord. Still not a quest I can get behind, but, but I'm sure we'll get to that. So yeah, I did like the fact that the back to Flash, the back to the future, was continuous instead of interrupted by,
Which I think of the episodes we've had, half of them have had a continuous back to flashback to, and they the other half were like spotty throughout the episode, and I do appreciate it more like this as well. Michael, what do you think?
I'm really digging how the clear and obvious references to Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian kind of came into play. We see the flashbangs, and then him just. I think we all knew it was coming. Seeing him and Fennec's relationship start. There is a lot of weird tie-ins that I'm a little more curious about. Is Fennec maybe closer to the cyberpunks than we, have alluded to? Is there maybe more of a bond there between them because they now share so much commonality?
I don't think she wants there to be.
I agree. I think at first she was not happy about it. And then on top of that, I was really assuming that their relationship so far had been somewhat of a life death situation. I think we see that it plays out a little bit differently as the episode progresses. So I'm really enjoying that. And some timeline issues for me. I'm kind of confused as to how long was he with the Tuskens?
Quote unquote years. He said so himself. So I actually saw a thing about this online shortly before. Empire is, or Jedi is 4 BBY or ABY after the Battle of Yavin. And the Mandalorian starts at 9 ABY. So there's a 5-year gap from the end of Jedi to the Mandalorian. So it is assumed he probably spent at least a few weeks amongst the guts of the creature, the hole in the ground. And
the Sarlacc.
Thank you. So bad with that sometimes. And then after crawling his way out and eventually ending up with the Tuskens over the course of a 4 to 5 year gap of time until we caught up with the Mandalorian timeline.
Did anyone notice the kind of nod to Attack of the Clones with the bomb that Fennec released into the Sarlacc? And that was definitely one of the ones that was, Django
awesome.
was using against Obi-Wan. So
those space depth charges, as they were.
The seismic charge will be a sound effect I never get tired of hearing of.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good.
It's one of those audibly satisfying movie sound effects. It's like hearing a Wilhelm scream in a movie. You're just like, that feels nice.
It's a great way to test your subwoofer. So.
Yeah. We've already touched on some of this already. He finds Fennec, immediately takes her to the Ripper Docks. It's a little cyberpunk reference there, but the cyber doctor, the one who makes the stuff for the mods, in Shadowrun we also call them street docks, where we see some other cyberpunks, so to speak, mods as they were, played by a musician named Thundercat. I don't know much about him, but I know a lot of people are super excited. I would imagine he was in this because he in general is probably a huge Star Wars fan, which is a pretty solid thread amongst people that get guest star spots, is they're just big old Star Wars fans.
I would imagine he's also a Thundercats fan. Just throwing that out there.
One would hope.
If not, like, what is he even doing? Like, free up that name for someone who is.
I hate Lion-O.
My dude, why?
I know I do hate Lion-O of the Thundercats roster. I'm not a fan.
Hey now, Sword of Thundera, come to my hand. Anyway.
I know I saw some issues online with the whole scene with the cybernetic enhancement stuff. The music bothered them or the aesthetic bothered them, but I still really dig it. Like, yes, I think the big thing is this is like a little touch of Coruscant on Tatooine, and that's the whole vibe of the cyberpunk mod people is they are predominantly like a Coruscant fad that is just kind of landed on Tatooine somewhere. And as someone who lives in the South,
oh no, I can't hear you guys.
Oh no, Matt. Oh no.
Don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us?
Hear me now?
Figure it out. Y'all keep going.
Okay. Anyway, so with this, what did we think of the scene? You know, the music, the style, her waking up, and then Boba implying that while the milk of the black melon is restorative and it's like water and stuff, apparently it's also a drug, because you grow to crave it eventually. What do we think of all this stuff, Kyle?
I think it's probably the worst coffee advertisement ever. I would have to. I mean, I don't think she drank enough of that to become addictive. And he implied that it was like nasty. Yeah. And then she's like, glug, glug, glug. So that just shows Fennec is badass no matter what she's doing. Whether she's drinking, nasty ass medicine milk from a fruit of the desert, or whatever she's doing, she is badass. At this point, Fennec is so much of a better character than our dear Boba. I mean, it should be her show. Should be the Book of Fennec Shand. So
she definitely is much more like scenery chewing with less than Boba Fett could do in the past, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I get that. I completely get that. She does more with just simple than he does with his looks.
He's just really not a good crime lord.
And that's Kyle, to your point. Like, Fennec is questioning him every step of the way. So, is she a better crime lord? But she's sitting in the like co-pilot chair. Is that what's going on here? I do think part of the Star Wars fans are very apprehensive to change, and that's probably why there's some like flashback on the music here. But I'm all for weird in Star Wars, and I think that over time we're going to see more and more references to other like pop culture like find their way into Star Wars here and there.
I can't wait till we find like the country music version in the Star Wars galaxy. That's what I want to hear.
It's like you guys
just a good old droids.
Oh no.
It's like everyone was keeping secrets. I could see y'all talking. And I was like, oh no, I feel so left out.
We just basically went over like everything from when Boba found her to I'm gonna say like roughly when they're about to go get his ship back. Her chewing the scenery with looks, the cyberpunks. Kyle feels like they've done better making her a badass than they have with Boba in this whole story, and I can agree with that.
Ming Na is she's the OG. Did y'all talk about the comment that she made about her saying that like the JL taggers could never beat the Tuskens?
I was going to get to that. Like a swoop bite gang taking out the Tuskens seems improbable, and I'm like, yep, probably because it is.
Yep.
What's the money on? We put it on the Pikes?
I still think the taggers were involved, but I don't think it was them alone.
Yeah, maybe it's not me giving them enough credit, but just kind of them from like the Clone Wars and other things. I just don't see them getting down like that, and everything. So I feel like there's definitely backing for sure from them.
And after Boba's flyby, I don't think they're getting up to much after that.
We'll get to that.
They're gone.
The Nikto species in Star Wars are like notoriously cannon fodder. There's literally a Jedi in the Clone Wars, and his name is I'm a Gundai.
Oh no!
And same species, just bites it in the same episode.
So next we have the infiltration of Bib Fortuna's palace, where you have them sneaking in through the trash chute into the kitchen, which it was brought up. We'd never seen Jabba's kitchen. I'm sorry if Jabba the Hutt built that palace or another Hutt built that palace. That kitchen doesn't seem to be able to produce the kind of food a Hutt would want.
They were making salads.
That's the guest kitchen.
Oh,
And besides,
you know
it's now Bib is
That's
in
true.
charge.
I just
so-
meant like, the architecture probably wouldn't change that much. But yes, the food being produced totally makes sense for Bib Fortuna because he looked like he was watching his figure anymore.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to slim down a little bit. He's like, yo, tonight's and salads. Come on.
I don't know if this is the same guy, but I dig that the sous chef droid was the same kind of droid as the torture master droid from Jedi.
I'm the cousin to General Grievous.
Well, no, that's the regular chef droid. The sous chef droid was the first one who just got his block knocked off. But like I like to imagine it's the same guy, but like Bib Fortuna doesn't have a droid torture pit anymore. So he's like, I got to do something with this guy. So he's going to help the chef droid.
Cooks.
All right, we're gonna play a new game called Demotion or Promotion. Is sous chef demotion or promotion? I'm gonna go with demotion.
I guess that's fair.
He's fired.
I consider it more of a lateral replacing because it's more that like it wasn't a demotion. It's just like your department doesn't exist anymore, and we got to find something for you to do.
And who knows how good the food is? It could be torture for people to eat it. So
that's also fair. So we are introduced to the sous chef droid and the chef droid, who yes is definitely Grievous cousin territory.
I've heard him nicknamed by the internet as General Clevis. I'm not going to take credit for it, but whoever came up with it, kudos.
And we have a third droid in this scene where they're first infiltrating, and it's a rat catcher droid, which has to be one of the cutest droids since BB-8 was introduced. What did we all think of this scene? Matt, we're gonna start with you.
That rat catcher droid might be like my new favorite droid of the Star Wars continuing. Just like when he was like getting away and he's like laughing at him, he's like, and everything. But I don't know if you guys know. It's talking about noise callbacks. That prison shank that Fennec uses, it's the same noise from when Anakin chopped off Count Dooku's hands.
Oh my.
Yeah, that like nails on a chalkboard sound, which
I
I
was
love.
paying attention to the sound design, and I definitely caught that as well.
I've always loved that sound for some reason. I don't know why. It just seemed like so randomly obscured, placed in that part. But no, I love that scene that like Boba was like struggling to catch this rat catcher droid. That was hilarious.
The way the droid moved harkened back real heavily to like Muppets. Like it felt like it was running like a Muppet would run. Michael, what do we think?
So I love the scene. I think that there's comedy in Star Wars. Taika Waititi has a great quote about it, and it's like it works because it believes in itself. Like the scene is funny, but like jokes aren't being cracked. It's just inherently comedic. Yeah. I do love they're called LEP droids, and they've shown up in Clone Wars a bunch actually, and it's just amazing to see the transition to live action. So I'm always going to be a big fan of them transitioning into different mediums. But I love the scene. General Clevis is got to be one of my new favorite droids. Yeah, so it was a good time for sure. Oh, also, I mean, I know we're going to talk about it, but the moment at the end of the scene, it just really sold it for me.
Yeah, Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I have to wonder if DC is going to be bringing suits against them for using the rat catcher name. But the rat catcher droid. This is rat catcher 73,
and we're circling back to Taika Waititi. So.
But yeah, it makes sense, though. I mean, it did move kind of like a Muppet, but it did move quickly, and it makes sense. Rats are fucking fast. So a rat catcher droid, or whatever the Tatooine, as, you know, is called by Boba Fett. You like to call it Tatooine. Whatever rats are on Tatooine, you know, they got to be fast. So the rat catcher droid, it makes sense they'd be fast. But I do like the fact that, you know, it was a bit of comedy. You know, I do have to say, I enjoy the comedy, but Boba Fett's whole image as this badass is eroding every single comedic scene he's in.
And I don't mind it because that's also part of the whole point of this is he doesn't want to be that person anymore. Now, granted, he needs to still be kind of a badass, but it's not the same kind anymore. But even then,
it's called reverse fan service. Reverse fan service, indeed.
I consider this whole series a slow Band-Aid ripping for like those diehard fans that are just like, this character that had 3 lines in the original trilogy is the only thing that matters in this whole franchise. And I'm just like, we're just gonna peel that Band-Aid off real slow. So we have that. It's done. They get into the hangar where the fire spray gunship is, where Boba's fire spray gunship is. The fight is fine, I think, personally. This was kind of a scene that I felt dragged on too long. The whole, like, him getting in the ship, blah, 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 getting it started, and while she's fighting off this entire building full of hired muscle at once. What did y'all think of the whole...
She's the badass!
Yes.
Not Boba!
She is a badass, and I have no problem with that part. It's just the scene dragged for me. Like we know he's going to get away. Like, I would almost have preferred it with a quiet, like, we got the ship and we blast our way out, but like they're not rounding the corner until kind of thing. But
yeah, I would say my one critique was kind of online with that. And it's funny, I literally shouted this at my TV. When they find the ship and they're on the way, those guards don't turn the corner for a little bit. They could have just ran to the ship, but they stopped, stared, waited for the robot to cross the path so they could shoot it for a distraction. I was like, the ship's right there. Like, no one's blocking you. Just go.
Yeah. Michael, Kyle, what'd y'all think?
Michael, you go first.
My note was specifically Ming-Na win. For Ming-Na win. He just goes off, which is great. I mean, I love it, and we've talked about it on previous episodes. Like, Fennec is certainly growing
when you can
into this great character. But you're right, the pacing could have been
when you hand a Gamora, and that is like, you're a badass.
She's got some cool flips in there, and it's like, I know a lot of people who probably tune in are big fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it just feels very much like, we get to see Ming-Na really shine in these moments, and it just feels like, I think Lucasfilm realizes, like, hey, we kind of struck gold with this character, and we're just going to keep pushing her as far as we can push her. So yeah, love that part of the scene. Love that you referred to it as the fire sprayer. Anyone who's mad about it can kick rocks. I think it's just such a dumb thing to be upset about.
Fire spray is a cool name anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the type of ship it is. So it's technically, it's not wrong.
Kyle?
Yeah, I definitely see your point about it taking a little bit too long, and their tactics were kind of mediocre as far as, I think it would have been a much cooler scene. I mean, not that I don't enjoy a good battle, but I think it would have been much more fun if they did sneak into the ship. The guards came in like smoking spice sticks or whatever guards do on their off time when they're sneaking away from, Bib.
Casual Fridays.
And they're like chatting, and suddenly the ship just like turns around, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And then they get blasted or something. That would have been much more, stealthy and fun.
So I think there's 3 key things I like and dislike about the scene, like, at the same time. Like, I like that Fennec used a gonk droid for the most basic video game function, and it's a walking bomb. Like, you shoot the power plant and it explodes. Like, that's smart. Why wouldn't you do that? That's smart. It's a gonk. And then can we just take a moment to talk about how badly designed that gunship really is, though? Like, taking off in a ship like that shouldn't be that much of a problem. Like, you have to like crawl up into the chair with your back facing up, and you can't even, if you're in a hangar like that, you can't even see. Like, what the hell's going on with that ship design?
It is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to get the toy when I was younger. I got a rain check for Kmart because they were out of stock and it was on sale. And they never friggin' called me, and I'm very upset.
Just
but
still waiting.
I'm still waiting all these years later. And I think that was around the time of Empire Strikes Back, or, so yeah, I've been waiting a while. But yeah, the design is kind of weird. Climb up into the cockpit, but somehow there's supposed to be some gunner thing, because didn't Little Boba shoot, use the guns from the ship in, Attack of the Clones to try to take out Obi-Wan?
That would track. That seems right.
I feel
but
like
I think
in space it's super practical. But
Yeah.
in a hangar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I do think we've touched on it a couple of times right tonight alone, but throughout the rest of the show is, I think the overarching issue is Boba Fett has lived his entire life, and talking about the plan is what I'm getting at. His entire life is like a mercenary bounty hunter type, and he's already changed his mindset on this. And because he's changed his mindset, he's trying to operate under this new mindset, and that's the problem. But the rest of this entire show is basically him making accidentally bad decisions because of this new mindset, and Finnick cleaning up the mess. And that's exactly what this whole scene in the hangar is. It's like, he's like, here's my thought. I'm going to go start the ship. And we're going to take off. We're going to steal the ship. It's going to be great. And Finnick's like, I mean, I guess I'm going to solo this entire building army, but okay.
It was funny, when she was kicking everybody's ass, and she was like, "Yo, just go." And he's like, "Are you sure?" Like he's been helping.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah."
He shot somebody. I'm sure he shot somebody.
Sure. So ship takes off. They have a short exchange, and she's like, "I guess I'll just stick around for a while." Why, I don't know. But I guess it's because she's on the lam, right? That was the whole thing in Mandalorian, that she had a bounty on her, and she didn't really have somewhere stable to chill. And
she's like, this old weirdo is fucking up, so I'll keep him out of trouble.
She's doing community service.
I don't know.
So,
that's a really harsh sentence for whatever she's done. She is not. She does not deserve this kind of punishment.
That's true. It's true. So we have a short scene where he just absolutely annihilate the jail taggers. Just obliterates them. And I'd like to point out a short difference that, it seems that in 90% of Star Wars lore, if someone has an iconic ship of some sort, all of their ships are freighters, but his is literally a gunship. So just a thought, just a little one. And then the dumb scene with the Sarlacc pit. I'm gonna let you guys talk about, what did you guys think of the whole sorry. Kyle, what did you think of this, the jail taggers and the Sarlacc pit scene?
Well, I like the fact that he blew away those bastards on the speeder bikes. That was great.
I think we can all agree that was awesome.
And, and he just decides out of the blue, I'm just going to expend a missile on him too, because that'll be fun. I just want to give people an idea, because probably in episode 7, he's going to shoot a missile and people are going to be like, what? We've never seen that before. But now they can't say that because, he shot the missile. I like how they blew up the Sarlacc afterwards. And I thought he was actually going there for revenge when he's like, there's a Sarlacc. He tried to eat me. I'm going to blow it away. Which, I mean, the Sarlacc is not exactly, doesn't seek out people.
No.
It's pretty stationary, so.
Right.
But
it's an animal, Boba.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how intelligent it is? It's thousands of years old, presumably. But he's like, did he not remember getting out of the Sarlacc pit and wearing his armor at the time? It's like, and it's interesting. It's all Beskar, which is fine, but for it to be. For him to forget that he got out wearing his armor.
Yep.
Did he think that he took it off at some point while he was
before
inside?
Getting out?
Yeah. Let me just slide in through here. I'm going to need to take off my armor. It's just, it didn't make sense that he thought it was in there. And doesn't he have sensors? Maybe he could like ping the thing and be like, "Oh, I'm not detecting any Beskar. Maybe I won't go in."
A tuning fork. It's not ringing back. It must not be here.
Matt, what'd you think overall of these two scenes?
So that was actually the thing that I was referencing about, like the thing that he didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the other side of it. It in the long run, it was kind of stupid, but I do get like him crawling out of the pit, being digested by stomach acid. He gets, low jacked by the Jawas and wakes up without his armor.
Sure.
I can see, plot wise, he would think that it was in there, or that like it came off or somewhere, or whatever it was. Like that's what I was saying when we first started, like the things that you don't know and how they like made that a thing. Like as we the viewers, we know where it was at, but he might not necessarily. But yeah, just his whole strategy of trying to figure out if it was there. I was like, this is the dumbest idea ever. There could be so much more efficient way. And has Zombieland taught us nothing? You always double tap just to make sure it's still dead. Like you always double tap just to make sure it's still dead. But the one thing that I did like about the wipe out of the jail taggers, if you've noticed, that's the only time that I can remember in the show that Finnick actually gave him like a nod of approval. Everything else is like,
it happens. It happens one more time in this episode.
Okay, yeah, but it's just like it's funny how we see like when he like makes the hard choice.
At least in Book of Boba Fett, yes, because I think there was way more of that vibe of like, no, I could see them being buddies in Mandalorian.
Yeah, yep.
But like in this, it feels like the whole time she's just been like.
Exactly.
What did I sign up for? Should have let me die from that gut shot.
She just takes him aside and look, I better be in the will, old man. You better have it written because this is gonna happen sooner than later.
Does Fennec
all the clones that were like prevalent during the era were clones of the Jango Fett bloodline.
Yeah.
What if that's like her debt to him? Because in that show she like kidnaps Omega, tries to sell to Cad Bane.
That was weird.
Omega saves her life. What if it's like I did your sister dirty, like
I'm repaying, making amends with the family.
That's possible. Although I also don't think even if she brought it up, Boba would be like, I don't have any siblings, because I don't think he thinks he's a true son, even though he is a clone. Like the way he was raised and everything, I don't think he considers himself like the rest of them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure that he even knows if Omega exists. I just like just spinning for like an internal thing, like, oh shit, another one.
It's certainly yet to be seen. And I mean, Joe makes a really good point. Like Boba, even though he was designation Alpha, like he was a true son to Jango.
Yeah.
Omega's closest family members, like Lama, is it Lama Say or
Lama Su and Tom Wee?
Yeah.
So yeah,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, but that's like the only clear connection there. And if I can just get in my little point about the bikers,
I was gonna get.
Is that cold enough for the haters on this series?
That was pretty cold.
Yeah. Although again, it hits the same story beats of like Boba in canon. He kills with a reason, and he had every reason to kill the swoop bikers. And I don't have much more else to say about the Sarlacc other than I'm really mad that I actually got scared by the jump scare. I can't believe it got me, but it got me. Like I even know that the thing is in there. But,
and it's one of those things. It's like it's going to happen. Like you even if you don't know when it's going to happen, like he's flying over this thing, he's almost touching it. And he's looking at it. At some point, the thing is going to try and eat him. And, it's going to happen. And then when it does, you're like, son of a...
I do remember one thing that I called bullshit. How did Finnick know what button to hit and that would drop the seismic bomb?
Maybe she knows the layout of military ships and where their weapon panels are.
She was like, I know what this does.
The Force. Anytime is a question.
Here you go. Cause like she didn't even look around. She like was like, oh, I know what that does. Like,
Well, it was
how do you know
blinking,
what
and
that
maybe
does?
you know
There was
that-
like a seismic charge on one of the panels, but
Oh,
nothing
was
that
it?
indicates that that's the button that drops it. So
Yeah. So after the Sarlacc pit, and he doesn't find his armor, but he's like, I'm gonna find it at some point. They have this nice little talk about criminal enterprises, and we get the clearest example of Boba's intent, and it's that he's just tired of being the retail sales floor worker. He wants to become the store manager. Because the store managers don't know what they're doing. And if I'm going to be a store manager, I'm going to be a store manager that's really cool to my employees. That's a dumbed down version, but essentially that's what he says is, all these crime lords have been like, if they stopped and thought for like 5 minutes, they would stop sending us to our death nearly as frequently. And he offers Fennec a full stake in whatever he's trying to do. And I'm pretty sure it's the only way she would have agreed to stay with him this long. What did y'all think? I will start with Mike this time.
Leaders lead, and how many times have you been in a situation where you know that things are going to play out better just because your feet are on the ground? I think it makes so much sense for why he wants to be out there on the streets of Mos Espa. It just, everything that he was saying is so true to who we're seeing Boba develop into. So I was all about it. I think that if we don't get Fennec betraying him, which are seeds that you guys have continuously planted in my head since the first episode, then we're going to see that she respects that quality in him, and that Boba is leader.
She puts up with the bullshit because she respects the idea.
Absolutely.
I can see it. Matt?
I'm kind of torn because in a vacuum chamber, saying the sentence like, "Oh, my motivation is to make the world better for the bad guys," really isn't the
bounty hunters. Bounty hunters don't see themselves as bad guys. They see themselves as a necessary part of a galactic ecosystem.
Exactly. But like when I'm thinking about who else is out there who could be the people who he wants to like make the world better for, some of them guys are like major douchebags.
But I think there's a thought process that some of these people are major douchebags because they never had an option. Well, because they never had an option to be anything but. And like that's definitely Boba. He's only ever really had this chance.
No, I definitely do like that. And it kind of, I feel like it a tad bit is like character regression from like his reformed, holy spiritualer than thou time with the Tuscans, like the 4 or 5 years. Like when we had originally thought, him wanting to be, the head of the family to like better suit them and like help the Tuscans get a better way. Like that sat with me because it's like, all right, you're willing to get your hands dirty to help your people out. But now it's just like the motive, which I actually do like your point, Joe, a lot about, giving the bad guys a chance to not be bad.
Yeah. Or as bad.
Yeah, or as bad, exactly.
Kyle, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, it's nice that
we can't hear you, Kyle.
Technical difficulties, please stand by.
To fill the silence, I will talk about how I really enjoyed this scene. There was a lot of emotional connection. I really wasn't a fan in the previous scene. Okay, there we are.
Hey, we're back.
Hello. Is there anybody out there? I like the fact that Fennec shares the vision, but I'm not sure that I like Boba's thing where it's like, yes, they're a bunch of idiots, and I want to be the idiot now. It's like...
Look, everyone that's worked in a lower tier job like that's the dream, though. Is like, if I can be the idiot, then I'm going to be less of an idiot for my people.
Yeah, that's what people think, and
I know they're usually wrong.
Right.
I mean, does Boba have any idea how to be a crime lord? Did he go to community college? Did he, take any courses? Because the thing that I find is there's a lot of people who are they want to be managers at their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They have no management experience. They think, well, they could be the best worker, like. you gotta say, Boba Fett, by reputation, we didn't actually see a lot of what he did, but he was known to be a badass bounty hunter. He was an excellent worker, excellent bounty hunter. But that doesn't mean he can manage.
Nope.
You know, it's like you're dealing with people, and it's like, can we talk about the meeting at the...
We're going to get there in just a second.
Okay. But yeah, just everything that he does. I mean, he is recruiting people, which is nice, but it's like...
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not a goal I can get behind. One thing
is it not working for you because there's not enough people buying in? Because I feel like that's part of like the message of, you know, he needs people to buy in for this to work. Like for his rule with respect thing to work, like you have to have the parties involved actually vibing with the vision. No one on Tatooine is vibing with his vision.
See, no one. I think the difference is that so far the only, if we're going to keep using the retail store analogy, the only people really not vibing with his vision are the other retail managers. But every time he's come across a worker, it's like, hey, I'm gonna take a promotion. I'm gonna be a store manager. The rest of the other workers are like, I can get behind that. You know, between
you can't be worse than Doug.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah. At least you're potentially a manager that'll listen to us when we say something. You won't, but
I still, it's like, you know, it's still a crime organization, right? I mean, what was great about the Mandalorian is he was a bounty hunter, which, you know, is, you know, if we learned anything from Dog, it's not all that bad. But, you know, he had thoughts. He had, you know, he had lines he wouldn't cross. He wasn't going to kill this 50-year-old infant. You know, he wasn't going to just let anything happen to it. And he went on a quest to return Grogu to his people. And that's something I get behind. You know, he's a bounty hunter. He's a badass, but he's got a heart of gold. Boba is like, you know, I watch these idiots send us to our death, and I want to be the person who sends people to the death, but maybe a little less, you know, death. And I want to be, you know, a crime lord. It's like,
I'll take the 5 minutes to think it over.
Yeah, I'll take 5 minutes and maybe less people will get killed and I'll make more money. You know, this is not a goal that I'm like, you know, dude, I really feel you.
For me, I think the ultimate thing about this is it kind of shows that, like, in the past 5 years, Boba Fett has had 2 midlife crises. And he's now realizing that being a bounty hunter doesn't really have a retirement plan. You just do the job till you die. And
that's
often,
my 401k.
Yeah. So I think what he's trying to do, and again, I think where I'm losing it is the disconnect on why he came to this conclusion, specifically this conclusion. That's the only reason I'm missing it. But because we never had that moment where he's just like, if he had even took another sentence to explain, like, Jabba almost got me killed, Bib Fortuna would get me killed, the Empire would get me killed, maybe I should just be my own boss. Like something like that, and that would have been a much better explanation as to just being like, they're bad for all of us. Like, yeah, are they though? But I think ultimately that's what it is bounty hunting doesn't really have a retirement plan, and he's getting to the point where he kind of wants to retire. He'd like to play golf on the sand dunes and, you know, maybe improve the community a little bit. You know, he wants a legacy, and not the legacy he has, because that's already a pretty impressive legacy. But that's me. But yeah, it's the idea is fine with me of him wanting to become a crime lord. It's more of the idea that he, like, I don't know why he decided that was how he wanted to do this.
Yeah. I'm kind of rolling exactly like that, Joe, because especially if you're going time-wise, the conversation that he had with Fennec had to have been a couple of days or a day or so after the whole massacre at the Tusken village. So I was just like, you went from a very noble cause to a very, like, self-serving cause in the course of a day, and it's like I didn't feel like they gave that change in character.
I think we haven't seen the end of his motivation yet, and that's ultimately what it is he may be going for something like that. He may be trying to build this idea that, like, I'm going to make Tatooine better, but they're only going to listen to me if I'm a crime lord, so that's how I'm going to get started doing this. But we just haven't seen that yet. I feel like that should have been explained here, though. But I think we're done with the flashbacks for now. As we wake up from our flash to back, Flashed it back. That's wrong.
Flashback that.
With his little droid buddy saying, "You've been fully healed." So like we've been witnessing Boba Fett at not even his full potential, which is mildly terrifying. I have a favorite line in this little exchange they have of power hates a vacuum. And I'm like, buddy, you are not a Hoover here. You are not going to clean up this mess single-handedly. But what did y'all think of this tiny little short scene exchange of him waking up and armor and Mayor's still missing and all that jazz?
All that jazz. I love the so it's funny we kind of didn't touch on the little subtle line that Phoenix, the one that got him hooked on back to backs.
Yeah.
She was just like, you need a back to tank. And now
she mentioned it, I think when he was crawling out of the Sarlacc pit.
Like, yeah, y'all burned up, man.
Yep. Yeah, so I was like, now he's a junkie, like, because your friend got you hooked on drugs. The world we live in.
Well, he got her hooked on a drug, and she got him hooked on a drug.
You're right. She's like, I owed you for making me a robot. But I loved the family meeting. I love the chess move of putting the dinner table over the Rancor pit.
Yeah,
I thought that shit was fire. That was great. Is it another thing? Just kind of just off of Return and being in that pit. I feel like that pit was way deeper than if the Rancor just being able just to reach up.
He gave it a step stool.
Right? Danny Trejo was down there.
And it's a small one too, so
yeah,
it was a baby Rancor.
It's just hanging around.
Maybe a trampoline down there.
He's just hanging around.
It was the forklift that the cousins had brought it in on. He just lifted
the little hover dolly.
Danny Trejo was just
now you get them.
I'm giving her all she's got.
He's like, we have to time this perfectly. Get this lift up here, bro.
All I need to make the whole what little interaction we've had between Boba and his pet Rancor perfect is him playing fetch with the damn thing. That would be just beautiful. I would love that.
But he has to use a head, somebody's like a rival's head as the ball.
Yeah, totally. Or a droid. So before we get fully into the dinner, because there is one scene before the dinner after he wakes up where they go back to the club, the Twilight Club, where Max Rebo is the house band because he couldn't find work after Jabba's barge got blown up. But we get Chrysanthemum being super mad and drunk and getting real violent. I am correct that Trandoshan's and Wookiees do not get along in general, right? That's a historical thing, right? Okay.
Trandoshans hunt Wookiees for sport.
Okay.
There is beef there for a very, very long time. Not just legends, but in canon, they do not like each other.
Remember in the first episode, the Trandoshans' tribute to Boba was a Wookiee Poe.
Okay, that tracks. So Kyle, what do we think about this whole scene? Black Chrysanthemum just destroying this bar.
Well, first, I thought he might have been like doing some freelance security work and he noticed some cheating because they were having a really good time and winning. So that's what I thought he was going to go over and like beat the crap out of them and then pull out some like jamming thing. But, he just was in a bad mood, and he lived up to the Wookiee reputation. They will rip your arms and legs off. Well, he
only took
the
one,
arm.
though.
It was happy compromise.
He's a little more in control of himself.
I could see the scene like after he rips the one arm off, he just looks at her and is like, "Is that good for half my tab?"
He's a great character, and I'm glad that he's sticking around. And I knew he would because as soon as he came on the scene, people were like, "Ooh, we want more of the Wookiee."
Yeah.
So.
Mike, what you think?
I mean, you love to see just chaos with Chrysanthemum, so I'm all about it. I love I cannot remember her name. Jennifer Beals' character, coming in and talking about his history and how he used to be this like amazing gladiator, which has been seen in the comics. So we get more canon connections. Just always great for me. But the biggest eye roll in Star Wars history when he does end up ripping the limb off, it just. We talked about the kitchen scene being a little comedic, but this had all of the comedy without taking away from any of the badassery in the scene.
There was a dark humor at the heart of that. So I also love Boba's like, worth a try.
Yeah.
Matt?
No, this was definitely my favorite scene in the episode. To make a crazy, obscure Futurama reference, I just imagine Max Rebo being like Spuds McKenzie.
Yeah.
He just seems like he wants to quit making music, but they're just
Ooh,
like,
give me wham wham wazzle.
I feel like they just have a life contract on him. He just looks like he doesn't love it anymore. It's like every time we've seen him ever,
He just doesn't have the energy anymore. He doesn't have that pep. He's just kind of like,
yep. Like when the night's over, he's just in the back stressed out. He's like, I can't do this anymore.
He's like, I can't write that many more songs about not being a blue elephant.
The scene was short, sweet, to the point. I will say there was a part where she's going through all of his accomplishments in his history and stuff. I was just kind of like, this feels like a video game dialogue moment where like she like moves the slider up, moves the slider down. She says something, I'm like, oh, that's impressive, and then says something else, I'm like, that's mildly insulting. So like I'm like, this is not going the way I think it's gonna go.
Roll for charisma.
Basically.
0. I guess you can't roll a 0,
but you can have a 0 charisma. ET reference.
Critical
Star Wars link. So next is the dinner scene. We've already talked about it a little bit. This is the first time in any of the present scenes where I actually feel that Shand and Boba are on the same page, that they're actually like working in tandem and cooperating properly, and it's not her just like harping on him for making stupid decisions. What y'all think? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, and was that the other scene that you were talking about where she gives him like the head?
She gives him a little nod at one point.
Yeah, no, I definitely I did notice that as well. And as soon as you started setting it up, I was like, oh yeah, that was the other time that he did say that. I liked it. It's I did laugh at that how quick he had to go from I need your help to all right, just be neutral. He's like, fuck, that didn't work.
Yeah. I feel like that was always in his pocket, but he was really hoping they would agree to the other one.
Shoot big till you get what you want, but it just seemed like they turned him down so fast. Like it wasn't even like a thought. It was like, no, why would we do that? And he's like, all right, just don't be involved in it. It's like, all right, we can do that.
Yeah. Kyle, what'd you think?
Well, I definitely felt like Fennec was the pitch woman. Because, she is much more eloquent a speaker than Boba, So it's like she pretty much, was trying to sell the deal. But then when he laid it out, I felt it made him look a little weak, though. I mean, they like turned him down and he's like, well, fine, I'll do it myself. But what he should have said, if you join me now, you'll have a bigger stake in, some future operation, or I'm going to remember that you chose neutrality, which may affect, if you join me, he's got to be self-interest, not just, we take out the Pikes, but he's got to be like, if you join me and we take over the Pikes territory, then you'll get an equal share. But if I do it myself and I take them out, then I might dole you out a much smaller share just so I don't have to administer it myself.
I think this is going into his brand of respect. Is like he's like, fine, if you're not going to help me, I'm going to show you I didn't need your help. I'm just trying to be nice. And that's, at some point, if he handles the Pikes without their help, they're just going to be like, he could do that to any of us. What are we going to do?
True, but again, he came to them with a proposal. He should have had some kind of, well, since you're not going to help me, that's fine. I can do it myself. I was doing it as a courtesy, and, so you'd get a bigger piece of the pie. But now, since, turned me down flat, well, you'll deal with the consequences. So I feel like he's not a good negotiator. No. He doesn't know how to negotiate shit.
He's a bounty hunter. These are all new skills for him. Is there
any like crime boss correspondence course he can take or something?
I feel like yes, but it's all in Huttese, and they're probably not willing to share with him.
I think he understands Huttese, so
some of it, I'd imagine. Most of it,
at least the swear words.
Enough.
He heard Anakin and Padme talking about aggressive negotiations on Geonosis, and he's like, "Oh, that works."
This was not aggressive negotiations.
I will say, as bad as he is as negotiating and being a general crime boss, I do love his little one-liners here every so often. He's always got the perfect snarky one-liner for a scene, just like with the
Don't touch my buttons.
Just like with the like, well, it was worth a try. Like this one, when the freaking Rancor does grab the floor and he's like, oh, he's a little hungry, and then feeds it. I'm just like, it's like putting a period at the end of the sentence, and the sentence was hungry.
Workaholic in the chat said he's a crime lord, not a politician.
That's also true, and
Is there
I think
a difference, though? Really?
I think there's similar skill sets, just different executions. Huh. But
I see what you did there.
I also want to point out, at some point since the show started, they gave Boba's announcer, Sir Matt Berry, a protocol droid upgrade, because now he can translate a bunch.
Which was our idea.
Yeah, totally.
Just hire him.
Yeah, you just buy him an upgrade unit. Apparently, they have enough treasure in stock. Yeah. So, but overall, we thought the scene was pretty fun. Like, I think it hammers home the core thing. And I think I've realized, like, their relationship, like Finnick and Boba's, is kind of like she's the social media person and he's the brand. So she's the one that knows and has all the plans on what to do. But, like, Finnick Shand is a name that people might recognize, but not like Boba Fett. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to quote a favorite show of mine, it's very much get on board or get out of the way.
Yeah.
Very Young Justice vibe to me, you know. So I think that, you know, they, to your guys' points, really, I'm just piggybacking here, but they are going to take care of business however they see fit. The rest of them, if they stay out of the way, then
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine, but they're going to have someone looking over their shoulders at all times, especially the Trandoshans, because Chrysanthemum's like right there.
So do we think that these three families are going to stick to the plan? Do you think any of them are going to betray Boba?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
If there's some advantage that they can gain.
Do you think it'll be all of them are going to try to, or do you think it's just like one of them will
I
end
think
up
the Pikes will pay someone to.
Okay.
I was just about to say, because we really still don't know who's backing the Pikes, because it's kind of implied that someone is. They could get to him like, yo, come on.
And we do have 3 episodes left. Like, this has the vibe of like episode before last, so we definitely have some more twists coming.
And also, we've officially, every scene they've ever shown in any of the trailers, we've officially run through them all. And we still got 3 episodes left, so we're going in completely blind now, which I kind of love.
After the dinner scene, we have a scene with Boba and Finnick talking about like the plans, getting ready for war and stuff. And we have a familiar theme playing after she says, or after they talk about needing to call in an army, and it's the Mandalorian theme. So what do we think? What are we feeling? Start with you, Michael.
I think Mando's coming, but I think we're going to get more than just Mando. I think we're going to get a whole bunch of recognizable bounty hunters. Yeah. Now's the time. If you have warriors, now is the time.
They will come.
Yeah. Lord Smack Talker Skywalker.
Yeah, no, I'm like super excited for the next couple episodes. And I know they had said that Dave Filoni's supposed to be directing at least one of these, and he usually comes on when it's like properties, like he did the Ahsoka episode from Mando. So it's like leads me to believe that, you know, one of his characters from his shows that he loves is coming. And didn't they just cast an actor for Sabine Wren like recently?
I think so.
Like, and you know, I think she's gonna be in the Ahsoka show. You know, if we're going chronologically, Mando has the sword, so he could like call to arms. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yep.
It's a wish list thing. Where's the Bad Batch in timeline wise now?
I'd imagine farming somewhere.
Or like Rex and them, like where are they at? Because, you know, I would love to see them show up in live action. And just, like,
I was gonna say, technically, they're all very old at this point because the aging process is so.
You could prosthetic them. You could prosthetic, put a beard on them.
I'm not opposed to seeing more Tamora Morrisons.
Well, I was gonna say you want to be careful, because then we're gonna get into Willy Wonka territory, and I do not want that.
Yeah, we want that.
Kyle, what are we thinking?
Well, I'm just hoping for a whole bunch of Mandos to show up. But yeah, and then, you know, a lot of Mandalorians are bounty hunters, so it makes sense to bring in some others. So yeah, I would, if the Mandalorian himself shows up, wielding his sword, I mean, I don't know that Bo-Katan is all that thrilled with him having the sword. So I don't know that she's not going to be already like immediately contesting his rule. So I think
what the vibe they're going for is they're going to hire whatever Mandalorians Bo-Katan has access to, and kind of this idea is like, you come help us take Mos Espa, and then you'll have, I don't know, a relatively stable funding for you to retake Mandalore.
I had read like a cool fan theory that says that they think that it's not confirmed, but there was like, they don't know who is running Mandalore right now, and it'd be a way to tie it in would have it like have Pike be the people who are like sitting
in charge of Mandalore,
on Mandalore right now. That could be the reason why they would come to help, because like he was just saying, like, help us out, we'll help you get Mandalore back.
Well, it's certainly not Darth Maul anymore.
Right. Certainly not. I'm gonna go against you guys' theories here, only because I don't see the stake in it. They were very reluctantly working together in that final chapter of Mandalorian. So, Mando and Boba obviously have the pre-existing relationship, so it makes sense. But, I mean, we have other connections to other bounty hunters. Boba worked with Bosk for a really long time. He worked with Dengar, who was played by Simon Pegg in the Clone Wars, and we all know that if you ask Simon Pegg to show up in Star Wars again, he's going to show up in Star Wars again. So it's I think we're like ripe for putting the band back together per se. Like some of these like old guys, maybe the crew that was on the Star Destroyer, whoever's left of them, that is.
If the Mandalorian shows up and IG-88 shows up, is he going to have like a moment?
Well, that was 11, I think. I think the one that was an IG-11 unit or something. I don't know.
Well, yes. So what I'm saying is IG-88 is a bounty hunter that's still out there. Is Mando going to be like, you remind me of my friend who melted?
We had a connection, then you died. Why are you back? But I think Bosk would be a very interesting choice, considering you also have Chrysanthemum there now.
That's what I'm saying. Make them reluctantly work together.
That's like a hyper violent version of like Aragorn and Gimli being forced together. Or not Aragorn,
it's
Legolas and Gimli.
The worst idea for a buddy cop movie since Turner and Hooch.
We'll call it Scale and Fur.
Yeah, let's go. I give Bosk like maybe 25 minutes of screen time before he gets a limb ripped off.
Yeah. No, wait, not Scale and Fur. You ready? Rough and Fluff. Oh. Trademarking it right now.
Coming to Disney Plus next year.
There you go.
So Workaholic says they're going to get the Mandos that were displaced from the show.
That wouldn't surprise me. They need a safe haven.
Jon Favreau's coming back with his machine gun.
I do love that idea. Like the convert, I guess the Children of the Watch, who are like an offshoot of Death Watch. I think that would be a perfect tie-in to bring in those guys.
And we might get the Armorer. Emily Swallow might, need some work.
It would make sense. Any of the Mandalorians scattered throughout the system or the whole galaxy having a safe haven they could come to, because Boba would definitely provide, which would be a really cool turnaround, considering his father was considered like a just a pariah among all Mandalorians. Just all of them don't really like Jango.
I know I look exactly like my father, but I would like to bring you all in and make up for anything that he may have done you wrong in the past, and just
question for the rest of you guys: do we think that if the Pikes aren't the top of the top, do we think whoever is going to hire some bounty hunters to oppose Boba Fett?
I'm still waiting for Cad Bane. I'm still waiting.
Yeah,
and him and Finnick have a history from Bad Batch and everything. So yeah,
I'm waiting for Hondo. Hondo needs to show up.
Hondo does need to show up.
I don't care how that happens. Just bring him.
But we got 3 episodes left. We're gonna wrap it up now. We got 3 episodes left. What big predictions do we have going? We've got Bounty Hunter War in the streets of Mos Espa mentioned. What else are we thinking? Do we think the Pikes are in control, or is someone pushing them around?
It's Snoke. It's Snoke.
It's Mephisto. It's always Mephisto.
Somehow Mephisto returned.
Somehow.
Oh
I think the music at the end is kind of setting up for Din Djarin to show up. I hope he's not the big cameo that they've been teasing, because I don't see
It's
that
like a
as
circular
big.
cameo problem.
Yeah. So I kind of am still holding out hope. I do still think the Crimson Dawn is in it. I wouldn't be surprised if Kira was in there, or even Omega. You know, like I said, Finnick has that relationship with her and Fett, and it only makes sense that she knows who they are. That she knows.
Are we doing like a new Witcher thing where it's like they're gonna raise Omega like they're scary?
So, but no, I'm excited. I just hope that the Mando isn't the big cameo that they've been teasing.
That's fair.
Be a letdown for me.
Kyle, what are you thinking?
I think it's going to be Lando Calrissian. No, I have. I'm not quite sure who would be, who has been in previous things other than the Mando would be kindly disposed towards Boba. So, unless it's going to be someone who's not, but needs the money. So, it could be someone like Lando Calrissian. That would be a big one, but
it'd probably be a little too early for any of like sequel movie characters too, because we're still like 25 years before they're really doing their thing.
Yep.
Except for Snoke, because he's a clone anyway.
Well, yeah. Michael, what are we thinking?
I'm done guessing on who the big bad is. I just feel like any shot I take is not going to be the right one.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I do think we are not done with flashbacks. I'm just really feeling that, like, I need to see the Cobb Vamp interaction. I've just been feeling it in my core that it could be part of the reason why we see Boba realize that there's power behind his armor more than just the intimidation factor. It's something that the people can see as a protector.
Yeah, I love that.
So he's going to be Captain Tatooine now.
When Captain Tatooine throws his mighty shield.
All right, so we are grossly out of time. I'm as usual, that's my fault. So I just want to give everyone a chance to go around and talk about what they're doing and give themselves an out. And we're going to go and start with our fearless leader, Captain Kyle.
All right, well, tune in next week, of course, for VCR Redux. Coming very shortly is the governor reacting to the Season 11B trailer of Walking Dead. So, and of course, he's got his little felt friend in there as well. And, we've got more stuff coming up. And head over to Toy Spotlight. Toy Spotlight's been very active. We've got a bunch of stuff, and we'll be having a lot more videos on there. And just, con season is coming back in February. And we'll be hitting some cons, so we'll have some con stuff. That's pretty much it.
Michael, I want you to tell the people where they can find you, what they can do to, support you and all that jazz.
You can find me right here next week on Fandom Spotlight talking Book of Boba Fett again. You can follow me on Instagram at Mikey_the_illest for some art. And I'm going to tease that something dangerously soon is coming from me and Mr. Matt Porter, pending Captain Kyle's approval. So we are...
Dangerously soon.
Dangerously soon.
Is that like Johnny Dangerously Soon?
You just got to use exciting words to get the kids excited these days.
It's a proper noun.
He's Finnick shanding his Boba Fett.
There you go. There you go.
Maddie, tell him what's up.
As my good brother Mikey did say, dangerously soon. We got some heat coming for you, so I'm excited about that. You can find me on Facebook, Matthew Porter. You can find me here doing lots of things because I like to hear myself talk, and Captain Cobb provides me with that opportunity to do so in spades. Also, you can find me on Instagram at _menace2sobriety. That is the number 2, not spelled out.
And I've been Joe, the worst panel head ever. You can find me.
No, you had a good cup of Joe.
You can find me on Twitter where I'm at the Spice Must Joe. You can also find me on LinkedIn where I'm just my name. And I write occasionally for Fandom Spotlight when crippling anxiety isn't conquering my mind. And I also am doing some gaming with the Rollmongers podcast. So that's a lot of fun. We'll be doing some Star Wars stuff eventually, I think, which is very exciting. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week with more Book of Boba Fett, and then in the future when more shows do their thing. And as always, follow your fandom.
Peace.